It's great to be joined today by Alessandro Pecorelli, who's the CEO of Vertex, which we've spoken about before. And there's sort of two interesting sides to Vertex, Alessandro, at least for me. One side is the ICO vetting side, and then the other side is the aftermarket, the secondary market, which is something that also is much needed sort of in the space. So maybe let's talk it through. First and foremost, this issue of vetting is a big issue in the ICO space, isn't it?
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, it moved a bit from ICO 1.0 to ICO 2.0, but the evaluation of business and companies and people within the company is a big problem, especially for the average investor.
What's the approach that you take when you want to start analyzing a particular project? Is there a series of metrics and a barometer that's applied uniformly across all projects? Does it depend on what type of project it is that you're dealing with? Talk us through that a little bit.
David, clearly, it depends on which project it is. I mean, for example, a reverse ICO of an established company, maybe hundreds of employees, the evaluation on the staff itself is less important, but more likely on the business model of the company itself and the whole tokenomics. So why are they doing an ICO? What is the token going to be used for? Like good example would be Ripple, right? I mean, Ripple have the Ripple coin, and on the other hand, they have the X-current software, and a lot of people didn't understand what exactly is the Ripple coin representing. So if you evaluate companies, if it's a startup company with new people, it's very important that you first analyze the people. This is because in a startup company where there are no assets, where there is no business yet, there is no profit sheets you can have a look at. So you're basically going to have to analyze the people. Are they capable of doing it? And are they willing to do it? And do they know what it takes to run a business? I mean, we've seen a lot of ICOs with great software engineers and great developers, but are they capable of being really a CEO and running a company? Because it takes much more than just some technical skills. So that's definitely the highlight. The most important point is the people and the tokenomics. So why a token? Why now? Like, did they have to wait for blockchain to come, or why didn't they do that before?
That's a question I will often ask project CEOs and founders, and that my audience also really likes for me to ask, which is, okay, interesting project, seems to have identified a problem, seems to provide a solution, but do you really need to ICO, or are there other reasons why you might be doing an ICO? Is that something that you want to know about very early when you speak to the folks involved with projects? Why is it that you're doing an ICO at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely that's the case. Why did you wait until the blockchain? Because it's very easy to use the ICO hype that is currently going on to raise some money, right? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe not as of right now, as of 20th of August 2018, it's not that extreme. But like if you look at last year, I mean, if you just did an ICO, it was, I think, nearly impossible to not raise a couple $1 million, especially in the end of summer. So I think if you look at that, a lot of definitely projects just came to grab some money. They might have had good intentions, but they were never supposed to have success with it. So yeah, clearly, it is a question that you have to ask. Why are you coming now, and does it need a blockchain? Like there's a lot of projects. Myself, I have database engineering background where I'm saying like, what is wrong with an Oracle or a MySQL database in that case? Why do you need a distributed ledger for that project, for that approach? I mean, that's another whole other story if we talk about security tokens. If someone issues security tokens with profit participation, that's again another case. I mean, that's just another way of setting up your entity. So that doesn't apply for security tokens in that sense.
What is what you would identify as the number one way, or maybe the top couple of red flags that signal to you we're dealing with a scam here?
First of all, I think a lot of people call a lot of things a scam that isn't a scam. I don't find it correct. I mean, we are here in a venture angel investment business, so
Hmm.
a project can fail and a project has the right to fail. Very important. Like
Absolutely.
it's not a scam when someone tries to get something running and he fails. And honestly, the mistake happens of the person who invests into someone who is not capable of doing it. So you did the mistake as an investor, not the person. He has the right to fail. So So the thing with the scam, I think that the number one red flag is I find it funny if you cannot get to meet someone physically.
Mm.
So I tell him, hey, I have access to all the planes in the world. Like, let's meet. And it's constantly not happening. That's definitely a scam. And if someone is trying too hard to sell and looking too flashy, like as we had before, like with Ferraris and Rolexes and all that kind of things, I think that are red flags. Because if someone tries to look rich, he might actually not be, so this is definitely a thing that you have to keep in mind. But I mean, there are some scammers out there, I think, and some con artists that are quite talented. So but I think with a solid background like we have and a venture analysis, and you meet the people physically, and then really common sense, you can filter out a lot of scams, I think.
Last thing I want to touch on about this, and then we'll talk about the aftermarket component. Why would a project submit to being analyzed by Vertex? In other words, given that you are doing serious vetting, given that you're going to want to meet in person and analyze the team's core competencies and their capabilities, what's the advantage to projects to saying we will meet with you? Why not just avoid you altogether?
Well, they can, first of all. If someone tries to avoid us, again, like if I can't meet the CEO, I mean, don't forget, we are putting money into those projects. So if someone is not willing to meet me, and on the other side, there would be like a $500,000 or $1 million investment into their project, I think that should be a very good sign. If like, hey, we cannot meet the CEO, even though we want to invest, that's a red flag to me, and it should be a red flag to anyone. So they want to apply from us because we are a capital company, and we are building up quite a strong network with funds. So penetrating us and getting us label you as a good ICO is definitely in the future going to be a very important thing. So again, I don't see a point why someone doesn't want it. And if someone is shy because of the efforts, then I don't think they're going to pull through a company as well. So
Let's talk about the aftermarket component. Talk about, first of all, what it means when you say that you are an aftermarket for ICOs, and why is that important?
all right, so an aftermarket, I've been asked this a lot, and it's actually a very good question. I mean, for people who don't have trading background, an aftermarket is basically everything that is after the initial offering. So if you have an ICO or an ITS, and you're giving out your coins, that's the primary market, and then there is a secondary market. So usually, as of right now, it is an exchange. There is nothing in between. So you have an ICO, and then you have a certain time that passes. It started with a couple days, then weeks. It's Some ICOs take months now to get listed. And in that time, there is no liquidity, nothing. So you hold the tokens, or you might find someone who's buying them from you, but there is no market yet. So the aftermarket is filling the gap and is offering tokens before they are listed on an exchange. But we're not an exchange because we are not allowing people to buy and sell and define a price. So that would just make us another exchange. So there is the aftermarket instrument that we create will be a platform where users see tokens for a price, and the price will remain the same, and they can buy them, and they can buy them from institutionals. So they're not buying them, and the price doesn't go up or down. There's no volatility in the price.
Who
That's
determines
the
the price, or
aftermarket.
how is the price determined?
We define the price. The owner of the token, Vertex, the consortium, defines the price.
And is the idea to maintain a price that is similar to the price at a particular point during the ICO? Or I guess, what's the pricing objective?
I mean, of course, like that the goal, first of all, the goal is, and I don't know if everyone is aware, but a lot of ICOs are not public. So they don't have a price, right? I mean, the moment that if someone is selling something and it's not public, what do you give it? What is the price for it? So you can come and you can say like, all right, I paid, let's say 10 cents for a token, and everyone paid between 8 and 12 cents for a token. So, we were going to sell it for 40 cents. I mean, at the end, that's okay. But what we are doing is with the pricing is, let's make a simple example, right? So let's say a token has a pre-seed stage, or a seed investment came from the first investor. They might have paid 5 cents a token, 10 cents a token. Then the next round comes on, pre-sale, people pay 40, 50 cents a token. Once the public sale reaches, the realistic price would be around $1 for that coin. So let's say an ICO raised 20 million in private and does a 2-3 million public sale, which is like right now a realistic scenario, and they sell it for $1. Our goal is to be somewhere between 80 cents and $1.20 for that token, depending on the demand. That's why we keep saying it's a preferential price. So the user gets a very good deal. Because if a token there is a high demand for a token, if we sell it for 10 cents more than it was on the ICO price, but like 100,000 people wanted to get tokens, but only 3,000 had access to tokens, we're still giving it at a very preferential rate if we go 10% above. But clearly, this is not what we aim for. We aim for going lower than the ICO price. And that's also the reason why we are not selling our tokens before. If an ICO conducts a public offering, we respect that and we're not interfering with it. So we are waiting until the public offering is over. That's for sure.
Do you find that ICO investors, or maybe the way to ask it would be too many ICO investors aren't aware of this lack of liquidity that will exist for a time between the purchase of the tokens and the time that a token gets listed on an exchange? In other words, is that something that you talk to people and they say, I thought I would be able to sell the tokens right away, but they're not on an exchange?
No, I think the common investor right now is a hodler, so they're not even thinking of selling, right? I mean, they want to hold everything. And just recently, when the prices crashed, people came to their mind, hey, how can we sell? Institutionals know that. And the funny thing is, what we're doing is not new at all. We're not inventing a new wheel. Like it's not what we do exists in the private equity market since decades. And it's a very good and big business. So we are pretty sure it's needed. And I just know that a lot of ICO investors came into actually crypto investment and they haven't been investing before. They don't have a private equity background. And suddenly they're like angel investors to an ICO. So they learned, I think, over the last couple of months that liquidity is very important, actually the most important thing. And as a friend of mine who's a big venture capital company told me once, he always said it beautifully, like before I go and see the entry door, I need to see the exit door of an investment. And this exit door right now doesn't exist. And that's why lockups have been created. And everyone is annoyed about lockups. But if you know that there's another option, an OTC market, that helps the ICO, that helps the community, and helps the venture capitalist who might have need to sell 30% of his holdings because he needs liquidity. So that's very important. But I think people will learn, and we are here to set up things for the future, not for the past. And we're pretty sure that in the future, every day that passes, the need is more clear to the people.
Speaking of the future, a more sort of a broad question about the ICO space and crypto space. I'm getting a lot of emails from people saying, David, you know, Bitcoin is down significantly. Ethereum and Litecoin are down even more. Is this the end? And you know that this has been the question for years. And every time historically you wait 6 months, you wait 9 months, and Bitcoin is at new highs. We're now getting closer to a year from the recent highs of, or the recent high point of about 19,000, I believe it was, for Bitcoin. What is your sense of the future of the space, and how will the ICO market be influenced by lower or higher Bitcoin prices?
First of all, whatever I'm saying now is not an investment advice.
Of course.
So I'm not the analyst in our company. I'm the CEO, but I
Certainly.
would clearly say that this is absolutely normal. And the thing, again, I repeat what I said before, like a lot of people just never went through that. A lot of people that are investing in ICOs never had $100,000 or even just $5,000 in stocks, or they day trading. And now suddenly they do day trading. They're shocked that a crisis takes longer than a weekend. I mean, it's normal. And if you look at charts, Bitcoin is not reacting weirdly. I mean, it fell, what, 70, maybe 80%. It doesn't matter. It did it before and it will do it again. And I don't think that there is so much prediction that we can do, but I definitely don't think that the crypto market is that. I think actually we're just starting. It might seem that for people, but I don't think it is at all. And I think that ICOs will evolve, and I think that security tokens will play a huge role in the future because it's just much easier than with equity.
We've been speaking to Alessandro Pecorelli, who's the CEO of Vertex. We've also done a longer analysis of the Vertex project, which we will link to. And of course, you can see that and find out more about the project by using the links in the video description. Alessandro, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.